the truth, yeah, forget the rest. You were proposed the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity where they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steampunk Kelly with the center clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pun Show. Hope you guys are doing well. It's is it Thursday? It's already Thursday, isn't it? How do we get to Thursday so fast? So yeah, we have some writing on the proverbial wall right now. Gas prices are going back up. It's back up to $4.09 a gallon, and the war in Iran doesn't seem to be any closer to ending than it's ever been. And now Trump has lost any credibility. Is the stock still down today? So yeah, you've got a couple of things that are converging with the stock market. One is the oil prices are back over $100 a barrel. I see your comment, Brett. I'll get to that in a second. Yes. Stock prices are back up to $100 a barrel, and we're no closer to getting the war over than we ever were. There's signs. I've been warning you on the show. I've been saying there's a lot about the AI bubble that it could collapse, and there's there's some stuff happening there that has the stock market starting to worry about, or to worry a bit today. I think there's let me see where are we at? Why want to tell me the hang on. I accidentally typed in Dow Jones. So, okay, it's down. Yeah. It's down about 1%, or about $510 today. So I have a feeling that could be the beginning of a prolonged plunge. A lot of this is because AI has been propping up the economy and the stock market for a while now. If you take AI out of the whole economic picture, the Dow Jones is actually down minus the AI stocks, and employment is actually down if you take out AI. And the only other thing that's where employment has been doing well is with healthcare support. But that's because you've got boomers getting old. It has nothing to do with Trump or anything he's done. And you've got all these things that are on the horizon with Medicaid. It's about to get slashed, and that's going to cause hospitals to shut down. You've got businesses that are starting to go bankrupt. You've got credit card debt at record highs. You've got defaults at record highs. So we've had consumer spending has been okay, so we haven't been panicking, but that consumer spending is debt-driven spending. That's actually a very big concern. So I just wonder, is Trump done? Is this it? Is this the beginning of the end? He seems to have lost all his sanity. He's sitting there like making up things that dead soldiers have said while he diminishes their deaths. It is. I think this is it. Like even his base is starting to turn against him. Only about 37% of MAGA Republicans, not Republicans, mind you, MAGA Republicans. His own supporters, only 37% support the Iran war still. That's not a good number, folks. That's not a good number. You've got a poll that came out today and a generic ballot. The Dems are up plus 11. 11. I've been telling you, it's going to be a blue nami because things are not going to get better before November. They're going to get worse. So Brett says, did you see the person mock Trump in the background at his speech in Georgia? He did. He did. I mean, he was like doing the doing Trump's mannerisms, and he was right behind Trump too. And then there was some guy that told him to stop or something, but it was too. It was just he had the facial expressions and everything perfect. Buddha loves you. Okay. You should be in the cabinet. You'll get insider info. I should be in the cabinet. No, I wouldn't want to be in a. If I'm not going to say that. I mean, I'd be better than RFK Jr., but I'm completely unqualified too. The mockers' two friends threw up the W power sign, but I don't know if they realize I'm not in their heads. Oh, yeah. They like to do that. That you're talking about the OK thing or something, where they like pretend that like they're just doing it to trigger the libs. Like, what is it, like an upside down OK sign? And they're like, oh, it's just OK. And so then they pretend that it's nothing, but they know what it is, and then they pretend it's anyway. They're such jerks. Trump is the worst president since Andrew Jackson. I think he is the worst president, including Andrew Jackson. I think he's even worse than Andrew Jackson. That's some saying something. That's some saying something. He's committing war crimes and threatening war crimes. And you've got the Secretary of State sitting there backing him up. They're sitting there going, you know, the Iranian leaders said, you know, an eye for an eye, and then they said Marco Rubio is like a head for an eye. And it's like, isn't that like you guys are always, you're the one that is always quoting these Bible quotes. Why don't you quote, you know, you've been told an eye for an eye, but I tell you, if your neighbor asks for your shirt, give him your coat also. Why is it, you know, Jesus said the eye for an eye thing. No, that's the Old Testament, not the New Testament, dude. A Magnificent Seven is trailing today. AI bubble is about to burst. I've been concerned about this for a long time. The AI, not a single one of these AI companies is turning a profit yet. Did you know that? Like none of them are making money. And they're like, there's like just trillions of dollars borrowed. And what the danger is if we start getting margin calls triggered. If we start having margin calls triggered, then that could cause then these companies like Microsoft and Google would have to like come up with all of this cash and pay it, or you know, and then that's gonna cause a panic, and that could cause the whole entire stock market to crash like it hasn't since like 2008. Like we're talking, it could send us into a major recession. And this is one of the problems with like just having tech bros run the country. Andrew Jackson was a beast. Andrew Jackson was actually just ignorant. He, in a lot of ways, he was like Trump, which is why Trump likes him. He just had stupid opinions and insisted on them. And he actually, you know, like he killed a bunch of people too. So in a lot of ways he was like Trump, but Trump has like the advantage of being able to destroy more people and more lives. Crude is volatile. Hi, Kitty. How you doing? Um, if you need the link, Kitty, let me know. If you'd rather just hang out there, that's cool too. Um, Red Sea is next. Yeah, that's a big concern. That could also make the oil prices go up. It's amazing, like if you attack other people, they tend to like fight back. We're the bad guys here. I'm not saying that makes Iran good guys, but we're the ones that are attacking them. They're defending themselves. They're just defending their own country. Lebanon didn't do anything. Do you support Madi G? Who is Madi G? Okay, hang on. Is this what I'm thinking of? I don't know enough about Indian politics. So I can't answer that question honestly. I did look into. I think you're the one that asked about the hunger strikes. I looked into that. That sounds really interesting. What happened with the hunger strikes is there was like I guess in India you take this exam when you're young, like, and it's like how you do on that exam determines like the rest of your life, and it's like one of the biggest things you can do as a young person. And some people were like getting, wealthier people were getting previews of the exam and kind of cheating. And so this one guy, I think he was a professor or something, he's a professor or something, went on a hunger strike to protest that. And it's kind of like galvanized the youth in India where there's hunger strikes. And now the protest has become more than about just about the exams, which I think we don't have anything comparable here. It's like the SATs to the exponent of like 20. But like this is like these exams determine the rest of your life. And so there's like wealth inequality in India, and so it's become kind of like a linchpin for all the other issues. I don't know if Madi G has anything to do with that or where he's at with all of that, but I did look up the hunger strike thing. And so, yes, based on what I read, I told you I'd look it up. I did look it up, and I do support the hunger strikes. If we aren't willing to lose army troops, we will never win another conflict again. Have you ever served in the military, Sandy? I have. And it's not about willing to serve our army troops or, any military troops, by the way. It's a matter of why are we willing to lose them? Are you, what are we gaining? Of course, when you join the military, you might die. But you also respect and trust that the president of the United States, when he decides that you're going, to have to risk your life and put your life on the line for your country, that there's a reasonable cause for it. All right. Troops should not be having to give up their lives so that Donald Trump can hide from the Epstein files. Do you vote for? I can't vote for Madi G. I'm not Indian. My local mental health medical facility said they will close if Medicaid gets cut. There's a lot of, oh man, I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it. But yeah, Medicaid getting cut. People don't understand that Medicaid is not a benefit that the recipients get, right? Republicans want to make it sound like people sit around and collect Medicaid. The only people that get paid from Medicaid are the hospitals and the care providers. They pay for your care. They don't pay you regardless of whether you're getting care or not. And so the only thing that happens is, one, people don't get health care they need, and two, the hospitals and clinics don't get the funding they need. And so it's a terrible, terrible idea to slash Medicaid and to just sit there and pretend like there's fraud. That's the reason. There is some fraud, but it's a tiny percentage. They have these ways of making it seem like it's bigger. Like they'll talk about there's a whole figure of percentage of people that's like 10% of the people that where they're either they determine that they could be overpaid, they could be underpaid, they could be wrongly paid, but very few of those are actual fraud. You know, they like the way that the Trump administration is trying to make it sound is if you got health care and then they didn't pay the clinic enough for your health care, then that means your health care was fraudulent. That's the way they're trying to present it. And it's just totally insane. Marty G is the best leader of our times, generational leader. When Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, Marty greeted him. Well, that's quite an accomplishment. When Alex Graham Bell invented the telephone, he already had 5 missed calls from Marty. Marty won F1 with. Wow, does Marty also? Did he ever beat up Chuck Norris? God's favorite film. No one's feminazi going against that is blasphemy towards universe. I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. I imagine feminazi is supposed to be some sort of feminazi kind of thing. I have no idea who no one is or whatever. I have a feeling you're probably not all that informed. Okay, really did used to be a game when you try to get your friend to look and they get punched if they look. And the first new major cases were that, but now it's been stolen and used as a dog whistle. Oh, you're talking about the symbol? No, that's not what happened, Sandy. It's not what happened. I don't want to get into it because there's no point in having that discussion. Trump learned art art of the deal from Modi. Well, then in that case, he's not very good at deal making. Layoffs about to happen, and this is why Trump just gave them most of the NIH funds for research. We are so screwed. Oh, wait, hang on. There was just... We're going to have more... I think inflation is up. Oh, inflation 3.5. So, yeah, inflation's still up. And the if say something is $100, right, and then it's 4 point anyway, I don't want to go into it. The inflation is up under Trump, and it's actually kind of being disguised a little bit by the way that percentages work. And it's all his fault. It's not like with Biden, where there was some stuff that was happening somewhere else in the world that caused worldwide inflation to happen. Donald Trump caused worldwide inflation to happen. The Strait of Hormuz closing is causing inflation all over the world. Trump's tariff war is causing inflation all over the world because everybody has to put in their own tariffs and stuff like that. I'm not sure you have any idea what a margin call does. LMAO, okay. Even Fox News today said that a margin call is when you have somebody has a loan and then they have to make a payment on that loan. And then if they use their company as collateral, and if the margin between what they owe and their collateral gets too big, then there's a margin call. They have to make a payment on their loan. And then if they aren't able to make it, then the stock market starts selling off because that means that they're in trouble. I mean, that's how I understand it. Probably not the most eloquently put, but that's my understanding of what a margin call is. Even Fox News today said their new latest poll is in the 20s. Wow. Nothing a conservative says has any value. They're all deceitful rats, feeling like poop. Oh yeah, that's right. You've got the COVID. Oh, poor kitty. I'm so sorry. I wish I could hug you. I hated it. Just sucks. COVID sucks. From the Pakistan PL manhood or Mahmoud Ahmad. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're trying to say. No new wars and the deceitful MAGA rats. Yeah, that's. I think that's really hurt. Like it's really a combination of things. There's the no new wars things. There's the whole Epstein files. How he was supposed to release the Epstein files. I think the sort of making up quotes for the dead soldiers, like I'm just glad I could give my life for, so that Iran won't have nuclear weapons and stuff. Like, just really, dude, have you no shame at all? From which city you please? I am in a city called Elgin, Texas, which is kind of outside Austin. Houthi rebels have already restricted the Red Sea, and now the insurance companies are like saying they're not going to insure those ships because blown up oil tankers are kind of expensive, and so that means that they're not shipping, and that means that the amount of oil that's going to be restricted. And then yesterday we talked about the crack spread. There's also like oil refineries there. They also ship gasoline, so the overall refining capacity of the world is also down. So even if we had enough oil, we still don't have enough gasoline. We don't have enough refineries to manufacture all the oil. And so that is getting like the difference between a cost of, I think it's 2 barrels of gasoline and 1 barrel of diesel and a barrel of crude oil. Like that's called the crack spread, and that's growing. And so then when you also now have an even bigger scarcity in oil, and oil prices go up and the crack spread is up, then gasoline gets more and more expensive. Mark my words, we are not far away from $5 a gallon. Your country is. I'm in America. Papers, please. Gestapo, yes, daddy. MAGA rats. Yep. And then there's that. So, yeah. I think that like this is another one of the things that I think is, I look at the 2026 election. It's not one big group is going to leave him in mass, but I think that there are things that people thought he stood for, and they're finding out he doesn't. And so there's going to be a chunk, like 10% of several different groups of people that are all going to leave him. And he didn't win with, the Republicans want to make it sound like Trump had this overwhelming majority. He had a mandate. He had a plurality. He didn't even have a majority of the votes. Yes, he won the popular vote. For the second time in 20 years, the Republicans won the popular vote. Still didn't win the majority. Only one time since George H.W. Bush. H.W. Bush. Not George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. The last, only one time in that entire time have the Republicans won a majority of the vote. But somehow we're supposed to believe that they have this overwhelming silent majority and stuff. Right. I love this show. Thank you. I hope you click like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Delete the MAGA mind virus. No new wars, said the deceitful MAGA rats. MAGAs are just bloodthirsty war hawks. I don't think all of them are. I think a lot of them really are sick of the wars and really believe Trump when he said that. But now you've got some that Trump has repeatedly committed war crimes, and now he's threatening more war crimes. And I don't understand how people who call themselves Christians can like get behind a guy who's committing war crimes, who's effectively murdering people, letting people be murdered, doesn't care if they're being murdered. ICE is not law enforcement. They keep saying ICE is law enforcement. ICE has no authority over civilians. ICE has no authority to make traffic stops. They're not law enforcement. They're immigration enforcement. I think 2026 was again looking Moody's regime ND destroyed whole of Indian power. ND Moody's regime are okay. Then again, I have no opinion on all of that because I really don't know anything about Indian politics. What is your opinion on time travel? I already told you. You would find out tomorrow. See what I did there? I think Sandy is one of those accounts that just makes a random statement and then leaves the channel to say it in another channel. Lather, rinse, repeat. Yeah, some people are just weird with their. I don't understand why they do this stuff. Do they get paid? Do they just go around to throw wrenches into works? One thing I like about the restream is, how we've talked about, Brett, how we've talked about like how bots come in blocks. So restream, I can go back and I can look at how many viewers I had by, the minute. And I can see like 8 people joined here, stayed for 2 minutes, and then left at the same time. So definitely reinforces what we think about the bot farms kind of jumping around to streams. In other words, it's just an inflammatory statement to get a reaction to derail, and then they move on. Yep. They just don't want us to have conversations. The people decide who is president, not the Constitution. MAGA rats. Mamdani cannot run for president because he was not born an American citizen. Shut down all overseas bases and foreign aid, every penny, and reinvest it in healthcare and infrastructure. Once the infrastructure is done, return it to JFK tax policy. Why would you want to cut down all the foreign aid? Like, why? Like, that saves millions of lives and actually helps the American economy. I don't see any benefit to isolationism. Defund the military. We don't need billion-dollar war machines. Well, I wish we had a billion-dollar war machine. We have a $1 trillion war machine. So that's Kitty's. Kitty's got her Epstein thing. If you haven't gone to butterflybureau.com, that's her Substack. It's really good. Off topic, but I think the YouTube live stream chat text on short specifically got bigger recently. But I don't know if it's just me. What do you mean it got bigger? In a good way or in a bad way? Like the text. Is there still the problem with the overlapping when I put the thing on screen? Does it still overlap with the messages? Maybe your accessibility settings for text were increased in size using your sliding scale. Oh, maybe that's it. Kelly, I gotta watch The Necessary. I've been doing more, been looking at some other podcasts There's like this guy named Oscar on Facebook, and a black guy named Isaiah, and then there's the kid, the redheaded kid. I've been watching like snippets of a few of these guys, and it seems like I am not the only one that has the problem where, like the frustration of trying to deal with the MAGA brain, and like the cognitive dissonance is like they're harder than a coconut. I watched the Necessary Conversation YouTube channel. Mary Lewis still on board with Trump. I think the type of vacuous idiot is the last stronghold. She is starting to turn, but holds on. It's a good litmus test. Yeah, it's like kind of like sunk cost, It's like at this point, if you say you're wrong about this, then you have to say you're wrong about everything. You've always been wrong, and you've just been duped, and nobody wants to say they've been duped that bad. I saw like there was a show that was, they had a bunch of people that have recently left MAGA, and like they had never seen the violent footage of 9/11 or of January 6th. Never saw the violent footage. They just saw the video of people being let in and out. And they're like, why? What is the big deal? The student protest is going on in India. What is your media showing about this news? Sorry, they're not showing anything, and they should. You asked me about it, and I looked it up, and I think that's really something. It's really inspiring. It sounds like that they're fighting for something real. Was it? Okay, yeah, somebody else was on here from India, but yeah, if those that weren't here, there's this big, massive exam that's like one of the most important events in your life that determines your entire future that you take in India. And rich kids were getting the answers leaked to them before they took the test, and so it was like a huge thing. And so this guy went on a hunger strike, and it kind of revolutionized a whole bunch of students, and it's become something more than just the exams, but the exams themselves are like huge. So yeah, I do wish the media would cover more on this, because I think it's really significant. It's India is not the most equitable nation on earth. Yes, maybe the bots are spread thin. Oh my goodness, maybe even the bots are giving up on Trump. Who cares what's happening in India? Well, the largest population on the planet, I'm pretty sure the people there care about it. Like, why does people feel like if they don't care about something, nobody else does? Hegseth fired Randy George, a highly qualified 4-star general, because he's black. Replaced him with Raisin Kane, a 3-star general that was unqualified and had to get special waivers to hold the post. So much for merit. Apparently, a lot of people are being forced out because they like know better than Hegseth and tell him so. And that makes our military weaker. It doesn't make our military stronger. Hegseth sits there. Hegseth is the guy, you ever known the guy that sits there and talks tough and talks about how he's going to beat you up and everything like that. And then, he's talking to somebody that actually knows how to fight. And then one fist to the jaw and the guy is sitting there on the ground blubbering. That's Pete Hegseth. Pete, there are some bullies that can back it up, and then there are some bullies that just talk and can't back it up. Hegseth is that kind of guy. You realize he's thinks that the U.S. military is somehow his, he invented it or something. Yeah, you realize there's reports out in the Lancet magazine about thousands of people who have died because we cut U.S. aid. I think it's more like hundreds. I think the number I seem to recall is 400,000. It's a lot. There are a lot of, and they're like children. because we're cutting vaccines and stuff that say like literally save lives, and then that affects economies and that affects us. So it's not just the humanity of it, it's also the economics of it. Why no foreign aid? Because rich people first. U.S. foreign aid was less than 1% of the budget. Yeah, and we don't spend that much money on it. But, you know, $1 trillion for the defense budget, sure. Wasn't Kane, is his real name really Raisin Kane? What a dorky name. He also appointed his predecessor. Yes, there is still the overlap of the text you put up on the screen and the chat. I wish it wasn't like that. Okay, hang on a second. I have my cat is locked out and he's gonna stand out there and meow until I open the door. So I'll be back in a second. Poor cat. All right. Come on. All right. There you go. You want to come say hi to everybody? Let's go say hi. All right. Say hi to the audience. Hi, audience. Meow, meow. All right. He's a good bear. He's a good bear. He's a good cat. I think anyway. His name is Huggy Bear. That's why I say it's a good bear. All right. So he's happy now. Oh, that's what she said. Harder than a coconut. Ooh, Kitty, with the "that's what she said" joke. It's very difficult in vertical stream view for smartphones. That's too bad. Why don't they make it like that? I wish I could. It seems like if I had the option of changing where the text displays, like if I can make it so that the text appeared on the top of the screen, it would all be better. But I don't have any option to do that. I've tried to see if I can find something. Mary Lou is welcome to her opinion. You still have to beat something with something. Disliking Trump only takes you so far. Who is Mary Lou and what is her opinion? What did I miss? Anyway. On the bright side, the House did pass a resolution. Yes, we've got, that's one of the other reasons that I ask, is Trump done? It's starting, they're starting to peel off. The Republican Congress is starting to peel off. I think they saw that, like, that plus 11, Dems plus 11 in the generic poll. That's saying something, and it's consistent. I know, like, on the media, they're trying to make it sound like this is like an outlier, but I actually think there could be something there, because if you look at all the off-term elections, there's been about a plus 11 to 15 point swing towards the Democrats in election after election. Those aren't polls; those are actual elections. So that's another sign. I'm wondering, I would like to see what happens with the Senate confirmation. You know that what Susan Collins isn't going to be able to vote for it. She's not going to be able to vote. Not with what happened in Maine. There's been some talk that Mitch McConnell might come back and vote against him. But there is no, Todd Blanche should not be Attorney General. Like, that is such a non-starter. He calls himself Donald Trump's lawyer. He's not Donald Trump's lawyer. The Attorney General is not the president's lawyer. The Attorney General is the people's lawyer. Unfortunately, Trump just claims that the 60 days is a reset. He just learned from playing golf mulligans. The law, like, and this is, and I have issues with Biden. I have issues with Obama. I have issues with Clinton. I have issues with every president except for Carter, going back to the Korean War. The Congress is supposed to declare war. Period. I don't, calling it all these different names, pretending it's not a war doesn't mean it's not a war. The framers were not sitting there trying to, they put that that clause in the Constitution for a reason. The Constitution makes it clear. Congress decides when we use the military, and the president decides how we use the military. Full stop. They, all this other mamby-pamby, oh, well, this is just an airstrike, not a ground war, and this, war only means ground wars. And yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it didn't mean air wars, considering we didn't have an air force, didn't have airports either, Donald Trump. But here are more people to interact with. India is catching up to us, one of the largest economies on earth. Well, India and China, and I mean, we don't really have some sort of divine right to being the largest economy on earth. Like a human life in America is no greater than a human life anywhere else. We're such weirdos that way. They still haven't learned how to throw trash in a landfill. Who hasn't learned how to throw trash in a landfill? I have a feeling that you're talking about India, and like they're like, dude, that's a trashy comment, Randall. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's annoying, and I only have a smartphone. I don't use a computer. It's very difficult, especially in modeling with the superimposed text behind what we see. All right. Now I've got a cat coming up here. Agreed. Hexeth is like a high school bully that talks smack and then gets beat up with the hunger. All right, hang on. My cat is being a cat. Agreed. Hexeth is like the school bully that talks smack and then gets beat up with a finger flick to the gut. He's such a, in real life, he's a word I can't use. But he's not all that. He's just such a, he's dumb too. I'd love to Hexeth struggle to get one pull-up video. I think that was edited, to be honest and to be fair, but I mean, like, my number one concern with the Secretary of Defense is not how many times they can bench press 200 pounds or 135 or whatever it was, and I don't really care how many pull-ups he can do or whatever. I don't think our nation's security depends on him being able to do pull-ups. The whole world is laughing at us right now because of Hexeth. And that's just one thing. I haven't seen that video. There's another, there's like another one where, like it's kind of funny because he's like bench pressing. It looks like maybe 135 actually. Looks like he has 45-pound plates. It might be 25-pound plates. And he benches it like 20 times. And they're like, the video is edited just to the very end where he's not able to get it up. And it's like, so there, everybody thinks that he wasn't able to get it up at all. But then, so people were like saying, showing the full video and where he's doing it. But the thing is when he's like doing it really fast and he's doing the, all these reps, like one or two of them were actually legitimate reps. Like most of them were just like wiggling the thing around. It made it even like look worse. I don't know if you've ever worked out or been to the gym, but like if your elbows don't lock, it's not a rep to me. Like doing this is not a rep. It's like doing fake push-ups or something. All my overseas friends crack jokes on me constantly, to the point even I get mad, embarrassed on the inside. This idea that everybody, America was embarrassment to the world under Biden, but now it's better, is like, no. Just no, a solid, strong no. My high school I went to in Liberia, we had 36 nationalities in my school. And I still am friends with a lot of people from all over the world. And Donald Trump is not popular anywhere except for maybe Israel. I know I hate having to explain to them that the majority of people in this country hate Donald Trump and do not stand with him. The people are not down with him in this administration. And I think they were willing to give us the benefit of the doubt the first time. They're just like, okay, you're stupid. You learned your lesson. You now you moved on. And then we went and reelected him after all this stupid stuff. And now it's getting even more stupid. And they're like, we can't trust you anymore. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's the rest of the world to the US now. I know some channels put the text at the top so it is possible. If I knew how, I would. But I can't seem to, I can't find any setting that lets me change that. I have to fool around with it afterwards. Yeah, they are finally realizing that running as a MAGA, now you will lose. So what happens is that the text from the chat thread and the text, text on the chat's thread, runs across the bottom of the YouTube live screen. I can't wait until stupid Mike Johnson is the minority leader. I wonder if he'll still be the leader. Oh, that man, I mean, I'm not a violent person. I'm not. Last time I punched somebody was like in 7th grade. But every time he smirks, my slap muscles just twitch. Like that smirk, that smug little poop-eating grin just makes my slap muscles twitch. That is literally the biggest conflict of interest ever. The Attorney General should never be the president's personal lawyer. Like, that's just insane. Like, why is that even a conversation to have? That should never even be a start of a conversation. I totally agree 100%. Crazy. The last time Congress actually declared war was in 1941. 1941. We've been at war for almost the last 80 years. For most of the last 80 years, and we've never declared war. That's not what the whole reason, and this is important, the whole reason, right, Huggy Bear? The whole reason that the founders gave Congress the power to declare war is really simple. Remember, when the Constitution was originally written, the Electoral College voted for the president, the House of Representatives voted for the Senate, and the people voted for the House of Representatives. So the only directly elected people were the House. And they were also the ones, their terms were 2 years. The president's term was 4 years. The Senate's term was 6 years. And so this whole thing, like some people hate that, the House of Representatives is almost perpetually in election mode, but that was on purpose because that was the closest group to the people. And if you're going to declare war, you need to go and you need to explain that to the people. And instead we have these like stupid war power resolutions where it's not really a vote on whether or not to have the war. It's a vote on whether or not to stop the war. That's not what the Constitution says. Constitution says that Congress has to vote to declare war. If we're going to go to war, declare war. If you're not going to go to war, Congress doesn't declare war. Either way, you have to answer to the people. And right now we still have no justification for the war, and we still have no vote on a war. We have a vote on whether or not to, tell the president that he can't start a war. We know that most of you don't like what is happening in the USA. It's just hard to see that there isn't happening more to stop it, considering our experience with a fascist leader. Where are you at, Winner? I hear you on the more to stop it thing, and a lot of people are frustrated with the Democrats because they're not doing more to stop it. But the thing is, it's hard to do. It's hard to know what they can do to stop it. Right now there's the Republicans control both houses of Congress. You can't even bring something up for a vote. They own the Supreme Court, and I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean literally own it. They have it is bought and paid for Supreme Court. So I wish we could do more. All we can do is win in 2026, and then we can make them pay. And I think we will. Plus 11. That's a huge number. Okay, so sorry. Hello. Wisconsin, I don't like our Congressman Glenn Grothman. We don't even have them come to town meetings anymore. Only has secretary answered the phone calls. He's been in office since 2014. I think that there's going to be some people that are voted out. Hopefully that Glenn Grothman, what is he? Is he a MAGA? He looks like Newt Gingrich made love to Boris Johnson and had a baby. Here, I'll show you his. I'm going to post a picture of him. He looks like the love child of Newt Gingrich and Boris Johnson. Tell me I'm wrong. Hang on. Doesn't he look like the love child of Boris Johnson and Newt Gingrich? Oh my goodness. All right. Sorry. I got distracted. How do I get rid of this thing over here? All right. Your cat would be the perfect background for the chat. See that? You're a perfect background, Huggy Bear. He's sitting in my lap right now. He's a good boy. I'm not saying we do that. That wasn't my point. I'm just saying that people think America is going to always be the biggest economy ever, and that we are most likely done is the biggest. That's fair. Time to start getting used to it. I think like the rest of the world was fine with us leading when we were like practicing quaint little things like human rights and not committing war crimes and stuff. Hello, I'm a Georgian independent and am voting blue in November to protect the Constitution of the United States. Awesome. I'm kind of like, it's time to start thinking about 2028. I wouldn't mind if we stole your senator. John Ossoff he's really been impressing me. He's so articulate. You need a shelf in the background for the cat to perch on. Oh, there we go. Instead of the baskets, I could have a cat. I think that alone would draw 1,000. You could be a movie star, Huggy Bear. Exist ain't built like that. Plus plastic weights. Plastic weights. Maybe that's it. He had like a plastic weight set. Exeth, he reminds me more of the guy from the movie Animal House, the ROTC guy. And Donald Trump Jr. reminds me of the what's his name? The guy from Caddyshack. The one hang on. What's his name? Or Spalding. That's Donald Trump Jr. reminds me of Spalding in Caddyshack. He's doing exactly what Sylvester Stallone did with the 45-pound plastic discs. Oh, I didn't know that Sylvester Stallone did something with 45-pound. Now, Sylvester Stallone legitimately worked out. He was cool. High school in Liberia. What was Liberia like? It was interesting. It was eye-opening. My dad was a diplomat, and so we were there, and we had an American cooperative school. It's like the kids of all the diplomats from all the countries would go there, and like it was and like the wealthy businessmen that lived there from around the world. It was interesting. It was incredibly challenging in terms of, because everybody there was like, their parents were diplomats and PhDs and whatnot, and so it was like really the average kid there was really smart. Like a third of our class was SAT finalists, like in the top 1%. I was one of the dumb kids. I was only like 2%. Just go to the secondary YouTube channels for the non-short format. Yeah, you can get the landscape version. I don't think the landscape version does it, but then you can't see all the other comments, so it's kind of sucks. I saw another YouTube channel. They call him MAGA Mike Grinder Johnson. I guess he's a DL Demon Queen. If it just came out that Mike Johnson had a secret life where he was a drag queen, who would be surprised? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not. I think it's a legit. Some people like to do that, and I can see Mike Johnson doing it. He has the famous back pfeifen. I have no idea that word. Mike has a face. Oh, is that the back pfeifen shite, whatever that is? I guess you're from Germany. That answers that question. Mike has the face that has to be slapped. It does. It does. I want to slap it so badly. I wish you would enter one of those slap contests. I'm in Germany. Germany is a beautiful country. I've decided that when MAGA says slave owners and the KKK are Democrat, I'll remind them of the IRGC is Republican. I guess about 152 years ago, they might have been, but nowadays it's the Republican, so I don't see why they argue this point. Because they're just dumb. I mean, they know it's not even a valid argument. It's like saying that the Yankees are the best team in baseball because of Babe Ruth. Murderers Row or whatever. It's like saying the Cowboys are the best team in football because of Emmitt Smith. You get Congress, you elect. You get the Congress you elect. I have never had my views represented. My district has had a party change over in my lifetime. Oh wow. Has not had a party changeover in my lifetime. Yeah, you have some places where it's entrenched. I live in my district. My representative is Mike McCall, and it's like he just wins like 70%, 65% of the vote every time. He doesn't even ever come here. I like, as far as I know, hasn't even made an appearance here. He must be from Germany. I understand. I go to No King's protests when I can, and I also work with my local Democratic Party office. I do what I can. I wish more people would. LMAO. I don't know what the. Oh, I bet that was the coconut comment. Oh, okay. So Brett's hand. All right. So Brett Walter's also a mod. So not the Congress that I elect. Most of the congressmen governed and senators I voted for. Oh yeah, oil hit $100 a barrel. It's over $100 a barrel, and this time I don't think it's coming back down anytime soon. I think that it's there's no, like, this time Trump isn't going to be able to manipulate things with the word and just saying, "Oh, we have a peace agreement," and everybody's like, "Yeah, we've been down this road. We don't believe you." Like, it's going to have to take real, actual agreement, and even agreeing that they agree on what they agree on, not just, "Oh, we have this agreement," and then it's like the most fundamental, basic parts of the thing that they're supposed to agree on, the Straits of Hormuz and whether or not Iran can close them and whether or not Iran can have nukes. Like, other than those two things, the memorandum of agreement covered everything, but that's the only two things that are at issue. The dude, no, not the dude Bill Murray plays. The nephew or the grandson of the Judge Smales, the one that's like, "I want a hot dog and I want a hamburger and I want, a milkshake," and then Smales is like, "You'll have nothing and like it." That guy. That's Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. is Spalding. He's also making bank off of, like, his dad being president right now and being an investor. Hunter Biden stole a painting, and we got all this appearance of impropriety stuff because he sold a painting. Donald Trump Jr. spends $2 billion, or he makes $2 billion in a year, and all investing on stuff that his dad is making policy decisions on. Oh, we don't talk that often. Okay, case closed. I guess we have to take your word for it. Being gay and going on Grindr is awful and should be ashamed. I agree. I don't have any problems with people being gay and going on Grindr. My father was a lifelong career criminal, rubbed elbows and kicked ass all over the world with the most prominent people on the planet. Finally, the United States government got him at almost 50 years. Huh. Was this Donald Trump Jr.? Ghost account? Just kidding. I would love to go to Germany. I hope we can stay allies, friend, and Trump doesn't ruin it all for us. Germany really is a beautiful country. I don't know if you were here yesterday. I was talking about this, but I was actually in Germany the day the walls fell. I was in a restaurant. I'll never forget it. It was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. It was on TV, and they had a TV that was like hung up. Everybody's eating, and people are there. There's this guy, I don't know, probably 20 something, and he's kicking the wall, and they're like grabbing pieces of the wall and taking it with them, and it's just coming down. Nobody's doing anything to stop it. These old German men that probably remember the war were just sitting there bawling their eyeballs out. People that were old enough to remember when Germany was one country before it became two, and now it was becoming one again. But this is good. He gave my decision to become a theologist and a priest. Wow, Dr. Mark Masseray, New York. Wow. So you're a theologist and a priest. What do you think about Talarico's comment that God is non-binary? I tend to agree with him. I'm pretty sure that God is a non-corporeal being. That doesn't mean you ought not to be vocal and visible. It does matter. Oil isn't coming down anytime soon. Iran isn't going to trust him again. And he's like sitting there saying, "Oh, Iran, they break a deal as soon as they make it." Dude, you're the one that broke the deal, not them. You broke the deal that Obama made. You broke the deals that you made with Canada and Mexico. You broke the deals you made with Europe. You broke the deals you made with China. Donald Trump's, he says the art of a deal. He says, I should be the breaking of a deal. He never made a deal that he wanted to keep. We stay friends on the people's level, and that will be the basis to rebuild up the ally thing when he is gone and has taken MAGA with him. I hope so. I hope we can recover from that. I hope we can, for the world's sake. I hope we can not just recover from that, but grow from that and be better than what we were. Because we've been to, we're the warmongers in the world. Where the, Donald Trump is, ran on no new wars and then declared new wars. It's the liberals that have been saying we don't need wars for the last 50 years. It's the liberals who stood up against the Iran or the Afghan war and the Iraqi war. I had a website that I ran, speaking out against the war long before there ever was one. I had all kinds of evidence that they didn't have. All you had to do is look, and there was all kind of evidence that there were no weapons of mass destruction. Do you think? Do you think Andrew Tate will unalive himself in jail? Will there be another government-assisted suicide? Maybe. It is kind of interesting. Why do all these sex predator, child pedo, traffic ring people? Why are they all pals with the Trumps? Apparently the Tates are good buddies with Barron. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? Trump isn't done. The DNC is done. America won't accept communism. Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. Trump is king. Well, but he shouldn't be. That's the problem. I recently was reading some articles about the chimpanzee war. Gustic Ribbon in the YouTuber talk about it. The article talked about how each TGE death of linchpin community members leads to fission. I'm sorry, I know that you know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about. Chimpanzee war. I don't even know what is the chimpanzee war? Like an actual war between chimpanzees? I don't know. Sorry. Trump puts on diapers. I think he has somebody put on his diapers for him. Maybe it's we were speculating yesterday. Maybe it's the printer girl. Trump and Putin suck. MAGA is reflective of Stalinism, so you already have. Sorry, you were duped. People have no idea. I'm sorry, there are two kinds of people. The people that think the DSA is communist and people that actually know what the difference is. Most of the people know there's a difference and are, that That rhetoric was, fine in the 80s. It worked in the 80s, but it doesn't work anymore. Um, the we're not like socialism is not the scary word it used to be. Most of the people, like if you are under 45, you weren't even alive when the USSR was around. Like it's all just history books. Most people, if you have 45, so if you were 18, like say 15, uh, so most people that are, wait, did I mess my math? 35. I'm sorry. And most people that are under like 45 have no real memory of the USSR at all. Most people think of socialism, when they think of socialism, and democratic socialism, they think of the social democracies we have in Europe. And I know some people try to make like there's some big, huge difference between DSA and social democracy, because democratic socialism actually is for, officially for socialism through democratic means, but they're not talking about socialism like communism. They're not talking about full on socialism. They're just talking about socialism in terms of certain things, which is why I've used the word mixed capitalism, because I think it just clears everything up and takes everybody out of this weirdo talk about the difference between social democracy and, I think most people are fine with mixed capitalism and think that that's actually where the answer is. Exactly how much capitalism and how much socialism, but I don't think unfettered capitalism is not doing us any favors right now. I think most of us can look at what's happening in America right now, the corruption in the White House, and how it's impacting the average American. I think that most of us have realized, you know what? No holds barred capitalism is not the answer. We need some level of socialism. There's a big blue wave coming. Yeah, I call it the blue nami. It's plus 11. I mentioned it a few times on today's show. There's a new poll out. In generic congressional ballots, Democrats are plus 11. 11. Hang on. I'm going to figure out something. I'm going to ask chat something. Okay. I'm asking chat if that holds. Chat says it would be a wave election. Democrats in 2018 they had a 8.6 point edge, and they gained 41 House seats. So estimate of 35 to 55 House seats, comfortable majority. They could. $290 they would need for but they would have about around 250 with plus 11 because of all the gerrymandering and stuff. But yeah, do not be surprised. I've been saying this before. Dummy mandering is a real thing. It happened in 2018. It could happen again. Sorry to change the subject a bit, but how about Ukraine just whooping Russia with their drones, totally destroying much of their oil tankers, trucks, and the version of Amazon factory. Same thing that's happening to us in Iran. Warfare, the rules of warfare have changed. Drones have changed warfare forever. It's no longer, you have to have the biggest, best planes and the biggest, best warships. You can just, all you need is a $20,000 drone and you can take out a $70,000 airplane or a $700 million airplane. It doesn't. The technology is taken out of it. The human advantages from training and just all kinds of things. Drones changed everything. Drones change everything. That's why we can't win on Iran. We should have known this before we got into the war. So Trump, yeah, whatever. Trump is a big fat liar. Finish the job. How? What does finishing the job mean? Like how will the job be finished? Like if we won the war, what does that look like? I think this is one of the problems. Because does it mean that Iran's not a threat anymore? And that the Strait of Hormuz is open? They weren't a nuclear threat before. And the Strait of Hormuz was open before. It seems like now the only way we can win is to get back to where we started. And in the meantime, American citizens have paid $56 billion more at the pumps. And we've paid $90 billion more in the cost of the war. So we spend $150 billion to hit the reset button. Really, what is winning here? What does that mean? Trump is on his knees and he sucks. To give you a genuine and true answer from my heart and mind and my teachings, following the laws of God and men and women, we're meant to be together, do unto others as you would. Okay. Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whether or not God, I tend to keep my faith out of my politics and my politics out of my faith. But I'm just talking about theologically. Does God have a penis? Or is he non-binary, like Tallarico said? We had a perfect deal that Obama had made. He never should have destroyed that. I don't know if the deal was perfect. I think there was maybe some problems with it. But it accomplished what we needed to accomplish. There were actual legitimate inspections involved there. And there was an actual legitimate restriction into how much they could enrich uranium. And there was like things in there to check up on it, to ensure that Iran would keep it. And then I guess it sounds like we could have even, like Trump could have actually gotten a better deal before the war started, but then he just started the war. According to the people that were, like helping us negotiate it. Trump really does have over reliance on pseudoscience from the leadership. The USSR fell to bad farming practices and a common incorrect assumption that killing all pests helps. I don't know anything about that. That's interesting. I always thought of the USSR just fell because they kept just pumping all their money into weapons. And you can't survive that way. Check out Erica Kirk, First Lady. 1967 to 1991. Interesting video. When you have a... Okay, 1967 to 1971. I don't think that Erica Kirk was alive back then. Hi, go play a video games, man. They totally underestimated Putin when they allowed him to become president. They thought they could control him. Yeah. He's figured out how to, you know, run his country, and in a lot of ways, maybe Putin is the most powerful man in the world right now because he actually controls Trump too. The entire conversation is focusing around politics, a filthy, dirty game. Government is good, government's genuine, and should be engaged for all of us, not politics. I think there's some fairness to that. I don't know how we do that, but yeah, I mean, people are corrupt. Not everybody is corrupt, but there's enough corrupt people that it's going to, I'm not sure how you get all the dross out of the government. We take over your public offices, haha, under Democratic banner. I don't know who is we. What do you mean we take? What does that mean? You mean get elected? Like, it sounds like you're actually acting like there's some sort of something nefarious about getting elected. We need more Muslims in public office. I agree. Was his father actor Woody Harrelson's father? He was a hitman for the Republican Party. Did 2 life sentences. Wow, I did not know that. Wow. Woody Harrelson's father was a hitman? Okay, so there's some sort of back and forth between Dusty and this Asmodeus dude. This all right. All right. Trump's awesome. That's actually, there should be an apostrophe before the S there. It's an apostrophe S. I don't. Why do you think he's awesome? Can you tell me, Roger? What do you think is the most awesome thing about Trump? Americans will be the new name, Americistan. Having trouble concentrating today. 2 days later, the Travis, the cartboard GDR cars with the lawnmower engines, drove through my village near the German border. That was when it became reality to me, not just pictures on TV. Oh, wow. So you were around back then. It's such a. I was in the military. I was on TDY to Germany. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. This old guy just sitting there, hand in his face in his hands, just sobbing, convulsing, his shoulders like. It was really, really something to see. So in every community, there's like isolated groups, like jacks and nerds in those communities will get more isolated and begin to fight unless there is community members that interact with both. Yeah. Jocks and nerds in those communities will get more isolated and begin to fight unless there is a community members in there. So like we need an athletic nerd. Then he grew up the richest Russian oligarch. There are some people that say that he could be more. We don't know how much money Putin is actually worth. He could be worth more than Putin or than Musk. All right, skipping over the spam. Trump and Putin are the biggest threat to the world right now. I think that's fair. Go Trump, MAGA. Save India. If you're making reference to me, my father wasn't an actor. He was a power broker. Very successful brother criminal. Dr. Mark J. Massier, New York. That's his name, Dr. Mark J. Massier. Cuba is a good example of what Too Fast says that Cuba is a good example, but I'm not sure what Cuba is an example of. Hey, Mike, just so you know, Walter's a mod. So if he asks you to knock it off, don't be surprised if you get put on timeout if you don't knock it off. We love every one of every religion. Just don't be it's like religion and politics never go together. And same with lack of religion and politics. Like some people act like religion is the only thing that kills people. Atheism kills people too, you know. Mao was an atheist. Lenin was an atheist. Stalin was an atheist. It's not like atheism has a strong track record either. So like being anti-God is no better than being like my God. It's just leave whatever your thoughts on God are completely out of your politics. There's no difference between socialists and communists. Remember the Soviet. Yes, there is a difference between socialists and politics. And no, the fact that the Soviet Union has the word socialist in it does not mean that you're right. And nobody in the DSA is advocating for the complete takeover of production and distribution. Like nobody's doing that. Nobody is that. Like that's just not a thing. This is when I was talking about equivocation yesterday. It's a fallacy. You're using a word that has multiple meanings to mean only one thing, and then you're assigning that to something else that people don't mean it. Like really, Raymond, can you do us all a favor and like actually learn what you're talking about? I plan on bringing my daughter to Europe someday, and Germany is on the list. Going to wait until we are more welcome again. I think Tallarico, when he wins, can be president. I wouldn't mind. He kind of reminds me a little bit of JFK. He kind of reminds me of Obama a little bit. I don't mean in terms of rhetorical style or anything like that, or politics. I mean just presence. Yeah, +5 is generally pretty good. We were at +8 in the blue wave in 2018. I would not be surprised if it ended up being something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we had 250 seats and the Senate. Because it's going to get worse. The economy is going to get worse over the next. It's not going to get better. Gas prices aren't coming down. The war is not going to be resolved. More people are going to get murdered by ICE. Stephen Miller is still going to be Stephen Miller. Donald Trump's still going to be Donald Trump. They're going to just keep doubling down and doubling down. And no matter how much damage they do, they're just going to sit there and run victory raps around L after L after L. And they're starting to lose the MAGA base. That's the difference. 38% of MAGAs, not 38% of Americans, 38% of MAGAs are for the Iran war. And Donald Trump is sitting there talking about how it's popular. That's not going to get those voters back. Tallarico is like the white Obama. He can be a one-term senator and sweep his way into the White House just like Obama. I don't know. I think I think like at least Obama had a full 6 years. Tallarico would only have the 2. The one I have my eye on right now for the Democrats is Ossoff. Ossoff is interesting because you've got the kind of two of the groups that have the biggest conflict are the the people that support Israel and the people who support Gaza. And he is a Jewish man who supports Gaza and wants a two-state solution. So I think he's one of the few people that can get people from both sides. I don't think he's the only one with that policy, but I think he is the one that has the track record on Gaza, and he also has the, like the fact that he's actually Jewish kind of makes it hard to call him anti-Semitic. Democrats are losing tens of thousands of voters per month. The more they talk, the more they lose. Based on what, Bob? Based on what? Based on Newsmax? What are they saying that's losing votes, honestly? Do you have anything at all of substance to say, or do you just like run around shouting silly things? Losing voters, Pennsylvania 3rd District is D plus 40. Trump had, well, yeah, I mean, that's Philadelphia, so. In West Philadelphia, born and raised. I can't help myself. Trump has been taking direct federal equity in some select businesses already. That's teetering on communism. Yeah. Donald Trump's sitting there. He's the one that's sitting there promoting these, federally run gas stations to save money on his war, while his children make trillions of dollars off of his, or billions of dollars off of his war. With the drones now, troops on the ground don't last very long. These AI controlled drones are getting crazy. Oh wow, they've got them AI controlled now too. Wow. I live in Pennsylvania 3rd District. We haven't had a Republican since probably the Kennedy era. So yeah, I think that the idea that we're losing thousands of Democratic voters every day, I think that's pretty silly. The ones that aren't, like, the one who's losing support every day is Donald Trump. I just quoted a highly pregnant woman into the building. Oh, escorted? Is that what you meant? A highly pregnant woman in the building. She's knocking on her boyfriend's door. Oh, coded. I see what you mean. You like let her in. He's in there with another girl. Oh my goodness. I have a feeling that if you wanted to go viral on Instagram, all you need to do is grab your camera. Wow, their last election wasn't ever a question in PE. Mr. Rob is who you got right now. Democratic voters outnumber Republican voters by a lot. Why Republicans have to cheat and use voter suppression and gerrymandering every election. It's funny that the party that has both houses of Congress, the White House, and the Supreme Court, and pass their signature legislation, can't run on their signature legislation. They can't run on the fact that they're doing something for the government, right, or for the people. The people that have all the power. They sat there and they complained about, Biden's inflation. And now inflation is up from when Trump took office. As a direct result of Trump, they didn't even check him one time. They're letting him do whatever he wants. You've got outbreaks all over the country. You got screw worms and measles, and can't even eat a salad without having to worry about getting explosive diarrhea, because the whole regulation thing is just thrown out the door. Almost like we had these kind of regulations in there for a reason. All they've done, there's hundreds of thousands of people dying across the world. We've got one war. He's sitting there bragging about his wars now. Went from no new wars to, oh, yeah, we won the war in Venezuela, and we're winning the war in Iran, and now we're going to go have a war with Cuba. I don't know if I've ever seen a president that just came out of the box doing the exact opposite of what he won on. Not just ran on, but won on. The three things he won on were: one, inflation, and it's up. Number two, the Epstein files, and he's covering them up. And number three, no new wars, and he's starting them. Like he's the War of the Month Club. And you wonder why he's losing support. Especially after the Democrat Party abandoned the black community for illegals. I don't even know what that is supposed to mean. That is just the most uneducated comment in the history of this channel. Now that Houthis have entered the chat, they attacked 2 Saudi tankers overnight. Oh, wow. They're attacking Saudi. Ah. Why are they attacking? Oh, Saudi tankers over. Wow. Yeah, that's not going to help oil prices. That might be why it's up so much today. Last I checked, it was oil prices. They were over $5 or over 100. Yeah, Brent crude is up to $100.60. It's up $6.50, up almost 7%, 6.96%. WTI crude is up. Even WTI crude, WTI crude is like from Oklahoma or something. It's Texas oil, basically. Even that's up to 92.39. But Brent crude's the main one that we look at. It's up to $100.60. And then the price of gas, I think, was back up to 409.10. So that's almost back up to $4.10 a gallon. I used to live in Erie and Pittsburgh. I'm from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is like one of those weird states to where it's almost like two completely different states. If you go to Erie and then you go to Philadelphia, it's hard to believe that's the same state. They're totally different. It's like New York is that way. Like rural New York and urban New York. Like New York City and rural New York is like totally different. How do you manage to continue to believe Trump and Fox? Please stop and do some research. I'll make it'll make you a better person. I'm used to living in swing states like Michigan. Been advocating for Mr. El Sayed myself, as Illinois does not vote for a while. Yeah. I think one of the best reasons to get rid of the Electoral College is the whole notion that there are swing states at all, right? We've reduced it to only, like a few states. The whole idea of the Electoral College, like the idea I was brought up with is this way every state counts, every state matters, except the reality is most states don't matter. We like only about a dozen of the states matter. And the largest populated states, like basically California and Texas, don't matter because they're given. Florida barely matters anymore. It used to be Florida was the swing state. Now it's just turned red. And then you got like Ohio is mostly red. There's only a few actual legitimate swing states, and that's where you get most of the campaigning. Rab is pretty much winning by default. Trump only got 77.3 million votes. There's 350 million Americans. The silent majority is now awake. They're going to vote when they used to, just to take care of the daily poop. Watch out, MAGA. Yeah. And there's also like, not everybody that is a MAGA is necessarily going to switch to Democrats. But what happened to the Democrats is voters stayed home. There were like, the Gaza war, the genocide. Like a lot of people just couldn't bring themselves to vote for Kamala Harris because they felt like she was enabling the war in Gaza too much. Um, and so they stayed home. And it's not like Trump won just by changing people's minds. Uh, Trump won in large part because people blamed Biden for the inflation, even though it wasn't his fault, and they stayed home. And I think that you're going to have a similar thing here. It's not like people are going to switch to the Democrats, but they might just not vote. We can't win this war. We would have to colonize the Middle East. I'm very concerned that this whole mess is going to result in another version of 9/11 in 20 years. Yeah. There's no way, what is winning in that war? There is no winning. I see no way where we come out ahead. And, it's another sunk cost theory thing. I think that what we have to do is just cut our losses and just say, okay, we'll pull out, we'll leave you alone, just let the traffic go through the Straits of Hormuz again. Rab nearly has a 15% lead last time. So unless he really screws up, he shouldn't have a problem. And there's none of his policies. Like, some people act like he's like this. Like, if you watch Morning Joe, they act like he's just this crazy, crazy leftist. And it's like, I haven't heard anything that's crazy. And they're always talking about, defund the police. I don't think he's actually for getting rid of police. I mean, it's the way that people frame the arguments. I mean, to me, I always feel like if you're going to be intellectually honest, the way you frame somebody else's argument, they should be able to say, yes, I agree, that's what my argument is. If you can't win, you're supposed to cut a deal. Now we can't do that either. Yeah, I don't even... maybe if he just pulled out the military and said, look, we'll go home, just let the oil go through the Strait of Hormuz. But maybe we'll never even get back to that. That is the main reason the USSR collapsed, plus a constant fight and power grab. Can't say that didn't happen. It was documented, especially during the fall. First Lady of Florida, married to the governor, Claude R. Kirk. She was known as a Madam First Lady of Florida, 1967 to 71. Check it out. Interesting was... Oh, she looks like Erica Clark. Erica Kirk. Erica Clark. I hid 24 hours, Asmodeus, as they are just a troll who is kind of a bigoted centrist that doesn't add anything to... Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, right? To have a conversation. I lost track of what was going on. But he didn't seem like he was adding anything. He just seemed like he was trying to insult people's grammar. I mean, their president was getting poisoned by other men who wanted power. I can't remember specific names. Whose president was getting... I'm sorry, I don't know who you're talking about. John Oval, are you high? Erica, oh, I think they're joking that there is this woman that was the governor's wife from 67 to 71 that looks exactly like Erica Kirk. I thought Erica was a robot. J.D. Vance thought she was a couch. She always turns her head sideways like a dog hearing a whistle. 100% agree. Religion and politics should never go together. Our country's fathers intended it that way too. Why separation of church and state was too important to them. And I say that, both for my faith and for my country. Like, the state getting involved with the church is also very damaging. The two things, they are the opposite of a Reese's peanut butter cup, right? Keep your chocolate away from the peanut butter and keep your peanut butter away from the chocolate. And I don't an unpeanut butter cup. Not that I don't like Reese's peanut butter cups, I do, but this is like the opposite of one. What was my next comment? He is the white Obama. Oh, let's go tell Rico. It's funny that Paxson called James Tallarico Talafrico, and so now there's like a bunch of Texas voters that they're like getting, they're like, I'm a Talafrico. He ended up giving Tallarico supporters an awesome nickname. They call themselves Talafricos now. Well, at least there's something we can all agree on. The Avengers are coming back this year to save the world. Avengers Doomsday. It's the like the Marvel series. I like the girl in the Hawkeye one. I like the Archer girl. I hope she's in the new Avengers. There's an unconfirmed rumor that Erica is pregnant. It's all over the internet. And JD is the father. That's why I'm saying he thought she was a couch. I would take Ossoff and Buttigieg ticket before Tallarico. I think Tallarico needs more like some actual experience in the federal government before he runs. But I could see him, in like a 8 years or so. I think AOC would be interesting. AOC is actually very charismatic. And as much as the right has tried to smear her, it hasn't been effective. The only people that hate AOC are the people that are going to hate any Democrat. Will it be half couch? Oh man, maybe if it's a girl, they can name her Sofa Loren. How is that possible? Her husband died like a year ago. Well, that's the math question, isn't it? There was some a lot of speculation that JD was putting little JD in places other than Mrs. Vance. So he could have like siblings that are born close together. I forgot Obama did have more years. I thought he only had 4. Yeah. I think I want to say he won in 2002. Ossoff is brilliant. I'd love to see him and Buttigieg on the same ticket. I think they're both really good at addressing the right-wing talking points without, like, they're very articulate and reasonable and measured in how they respond. And Buttigieg has this like low-key way of just smacking the crap out of Republican talking points. Like he'll go on Fox and make them look bad without even being mean about it. Erica Kirk married to Claude R. Kirk, governor of Florida, 19. John is really convinced that Erica Kirk is. Right now, AOC is leading in New Hampshire. She's not running, is she? I mean, is that just like a speculative poll? But yeah, AOC is. I don't want to start any rumors. I don't. But AOC is. I'm not saying she's in love with me. I'm just saying she's never denied that she's in love with me. So, make of that what you will. She's smart and she's articulate and she's inspiring and she's beautiful, and I think that she has charisma. She has what it takes. I think Slotkin might be able to pull into the running. I don't know if I've ever had a crush on the president. That would be weird. I think Slotkin might be able to pull into the running. She seems intelligent. Yeah, but I think she's too new, you know. Um, get Ossoff in there and he will end the war in Iran. They would trust him to finally make a deal to end the war. How old do you think Erica is? Is it well? Yeah. Eh, Did you ever see the TV show Humans? Um, maybe she's a robot person. Is it just me of K H and AOC kind of just look like one is younger version of the other? Who is KH? Who I don't know who KH is. Oh, Kamala Harris? No, I don't think AOC and Kamala look like. I don't need to look it up. I'm not on a crackpot conspiracy theory. No. Sounds like it's a plan, or you just come up and tell everybody that you meet that you voted for Kamala. Good way to make German friends. I don't think he's literally arguing that Erica Kirk is this person. I think he's just saying, what is her name again? What is this? I can. Am I behind? I guess it's better to be behind than be a behind. How far back am I? 152. Whoa! I didn't realize I was that far behind. Uh, oh, like 20 minutes. All right. She is one hell of a shot out of 37. Okay. She has too much evil power for her. I 100% voted Kamala. Not once did I vote for the last orange turd. I thought Kamala Harris, if you took the time to actually look at what her platform was, she had actually a really good platform that she had to come up with, like, on the fly. I don't think people give enough credit for what she was able to do. The reasons that she lost really had nothing to do with her. Trump and his allies tried to undermine the 2020 election by installing 84 fake electors. They were convicted, but Trump pardoned them. Talk about voter integrity. They weren't convicted, and they were some are being tried by the state, but yeah, there were a bunch of people pardoned. There will be room for AOC, Crockett, Talarico, and many more in the administration. This is the wonderful dream. My favorite video is when Erica is wearing all black with a baseball cap. She's like in stealth mode. She stares at the camera for like 30 seconds and breathes heavy into the mic. Fake man. The whole thing with Charlie Kirk, like he was some sort of martyr for some sort of cause or something. All right. Shell reported $7 billion in profits. Interesting this quarter. Wow. James Carville had a great quotation about Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia with Alabama in the middle. That sounds like such a Carville thing to say. All right, so I'm going to scroll down because Brett is right. I'm way behind. So I'm just going to. SpaceX hits a record low of 117.37. The stock has plunged 48% from its all-time high, wiping out 1.43 trillion in market capitalization. Good. Wow. So the stock market is really not doing well today. What is? All right. So what is? Where is it? Okay. Did it? Okay, it stopped. So it lost 506 points today. But yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. This is just the tech, the Magnificent Seven. If that gets hit, watch out. We're gonna be in a full blown recession. Right now, the only thing saving us from a recession is the AI and data centers and all of that. Elon has about $500 of mine locked up in an old PayPal account, probably gone by now. He wants to keep that $500. He's going to need that if SpaceX keeps plummeting. There's nothing wrong with that comment. I had to approve it manually. What, this comment? MAGA hates Democrats, but they're paranoid. The non-white Democrats want to enslave them. There is so much. Like the way that they make themselves out to be victims is just strange. I can neither confirm nor deny AOC has proclaimed their love for Kelly. Thomas Massey. I'm not. Thomas Massey is still 95% MAGA. He's had a few moments. Like after he got primaried by Trump, he's grown a bit more of a spine. But yeah, don't be fooled by like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Thomas Massey. They're right there championing all the nonsense. The only difference is they had a line when it came to Epstein. At this point, I'd vote for poop in a jar over MAGA. She did have ideas, though, Josh. She did. That you don't know what they are. When you say that she didn't have any ideas, that only tells me you don't know what her ideas were. And so that just tells me you never bothered looking. I know what they were. I looked. Couldn't even run for governor of California. We've heard the last of Kamala. Well, she didn't run for it. That doesn't mean she couldn't. I'm definitely not skipping voting, seeing what we get. I think Kamala's biggest mistake was she didn't separate herself from Joe Biden enough. But really, like you said, not her fault. She shouldn't have the time. And it's kind of hard to, when you're vice president, to separate yourself from the president, because otherwise you're like selling your president out. He was president while she was vice president. Oh my, yeah, we don't know that Israel did not kill Charlie Kirk. Massey has made some progress in his thinking. I need to hear more separation from the Trump regime. I will say there was a great clip with Massey where this reporter was chasing him down and asking him stupid questions, and he pulls out he's like sitting there and he's looking at his phone, and they're like stopping him, and he stops and he turns his phone around onto the reporter, and he says, I have a question for you. Is it true that you do searches for gay porn? And the reporter's like, all of a sudden, like running away, like literally running away, and Massey's like chasing him down, recording him like the reporters do, and it's hilarious. Are you denying that you watch gay porn? It's like it was pretty funny. Elon is no longer a trillionaire. No, but he's still $100 billionaire. I mean, if you lose $500 million and you still have $500 million, or if you lose $500 billion and you still have $500 billion, you have way too damn much money. GoPro is going bankrupt. Oh, I didn't know that. Guess they did. They shouldn't. Anyway, they're going amateur. I don't know. Kamala had great ideas. She just didn't listen. Like I think like one of her ideas was, I've mentioned this before. I love the idea that, instead of having people send their parents to old folks homes where Medicare is going to have to pay more money to keep them, allow people the chance to, get paid as care workers and care for them themselves. And so then these sandwich moms that can't work because they've got to take care of their parents or their husband's parents and their kids at the same time, then they get paid, and it saves the government money, it saves the family money, and it's better for the kids, for the grandparents. It's better for everybody. Are you guys a socialist chat? What is a socialist chat? Is that like the government owns the chat and controls the means of distribution of the chat? What is a socialist chat? Would love to change from a Republican to a Democrat, or I never vote for him. Yeah, I will never vote for a Republican. I never thought I'd see so many people happy the stock market is tanking. That's how miserable people are. It finally gets the ball rolling, I guess, because it's been like the economy has been tanking for like 90% of America, and then you've got the the guy that comes on here and is just like, my 401k is doing great. And that's, first of all, like, I don't think you have a 401k. How many people in the trailer park have 401ks? But the top 10% is doing better, and everybody else is doing poor. 50% of all consumer spending is from the top 10%. The rich have and the rich keep getting rich. It's almost like we saw that coming. Banks like PayPal actually aren't protected too. You will just lose your money if you go bankrupt. Oh, you're cute for a grandpa. I don't know what that means. Thank you, though. It's hard, but she didn't separate herself from an unpopular president at all. Like, oh, hey, Harry, how you doing? At all. Like, I get she can't start attacking the government record. Yeah, it's just she was in a difficult position. She, like, talk about between a rock and a hard place. Like, she can't criticize Israel, and she can't endorse what's going on, and she can't attack Biden. She can't endorse Biden. Like, it's just no matter what she did, it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. They act like she, like there was some issue with how she got nominated, but what else are you going to do? Biden won the nomination, and then Biden stepped down. It wasn't her fault. She's not the one that led the charge for Biden to step down. I don't know if there was an interview where she's. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that interview. Kamala Harris repeatedly. I think they didn't. I think one of the things that happened is they did not actually talk about what Kamala Harris wanted to do. Like, the news would just say that she doesn't have a plan, while they just completely ignored the fact that she had a plan. I think the media really, a lot of the media, and I'm talking Fox News and stuff, but I'm also talking MSNBC. They just did not do a service to Kamala Harris. They didn't actually talk about what her plans were. People like Democrats, people that voted for her, don't know what her plans were. And it's not like she didn't have them and she didn't talk about them. She talked about them in her speeches. And oh, it's messaging. What difference does messaging make if you ignore her messaging and just talk about whatever you're going to talk about anyway? Kamala Harris repeatedly said that Trump would drag us into the Iran, and look where we are. But there again, Trump said the same thing about a certain president, and now look where we are. Trump said that Kamala Harris would drag us into Iran. Now, and like you said, look where we are. You are still way too rich. Agreed. My point is that he lost money And anytime a trillionaire like him loses money, it's still a good thing. Let's hope he keeps losing more money. What is social care like in America? In the UK, it's a bit of a poop show because it's still private, not under the NHS. Know that? Yeah, it's all just um, it's all about privately funded um, homes like senior service. Oh, it's it's a racket. That's the word I'm looking for. What Kamala Harris wanted to do is like instead of the money going to pay for like a senior citizen home, uh, just pay the parent or the adult child of the parent. If they wanted to keep them there, you could just pay them money. And so then that's like, since it is a job, give them an income to do it. And so then you have two incomes for the household. You have somebody that's at home to take care of the parents and the children. The the senior citizen doesn't feel like they're getting shoved out to pasture. It's better for them. They're happier. It works out better for everybody. And it wouldn't be mandatory, just be an option. Yeah, and there is nowhere near enough care homes to care for all the people who need to be in the home care. And it's like here in America, we're getting to the boomer retirement age. And so it's like that number is escalating rapidly. Social care, from what I understand, is basic generic medication, basic dental, basic medical. For example, if you have a toothache, you have to wait 6 months for an appointment, no emergencies. No social care is Care Homes and Orphanages Act. That is YouTube. This is a personal chat hosted by a private establishment. I guess we like mixed capitalism. That includes socialism. United States tariffs at 10 to 12.45% on 60 to replace expiring tariffs taking effect on Friday morning. Wow. How is he doing that? I thought the tariffs weren't like the Supreme Court said he can't just do tariffs whenever he wants. Well, at least that is what is in the UK. I'm not sure about America. I have to leave. Good night. Yeah, it's really late at night for you. Thanks for joining us. Auf Wiedersehen. If PayPal goes on bankrupt, you just lose everything because it's not actually insured by the government. On 60 countries. Wow. That'll help. The man is just deranged. He's a lunatic. He's just like doing stuff. I'm bored. Let's put a tariff on 60 countries. We have here in Pennsylvania for people who have both Medicaid and Medicare. They will pay a friend or relative that provides care or rides to appointments. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Like, what? It's almost like the idea of doing things that are humane and decent are something that MAGA is just against. Because somebody might get something. I believe the only type of account in America that is federally insured, even against a collapsed government, is a certificate of deposit account. But how would you get it? Thank you. 30 clutch points. Thank you. Diz track. Stock market is failing. So if this is your first time watching, don't forget to click like and subscribe, by the way. Stock market is falling, oil going up, and now we're going to add more tariffs. We're still borrowing $5 billion a day. We are headed for problems. And you got the Red Sea is about to get shut down to make that even worse. We're just so screwed. And don't forget about the the mass deportations, how that's going to affect the economy. It's already affecting the economy. Everything, like if you were to, I actually even at one point I had a conversation with an AI. I can't remember if it was Claude or Chat, but I just started thinking about it, and I was like, if you wanted to sabotage the economy as much as possible within means that you could like legally get away with, what would you do? And basically, everything Trump has done is like a roadmap to destroying the economy. Like, if your goal were to destroy the economy, you would do exactly what Trump is doing. And still, $1.7 trillion in defense is being demanded. Is it 1.7 trillion? I thought it was 1 trillion. Let me look this up. 1.56 trillion in total defense funding for the 2027 fiscal year. This includes 1.15 trillion basic discretionary requests, 350 billion in mandatory spending via congressional reconciliation, and an additional 67.1 billion in supplemental funds largely to cover the war in Iran. Why do we need to spend $1.567 trillion on defense spending? Like, maybe that's getting a bit out of hand. Oh my goodness. How much is that? That means the average adult, I'm just looking this up. Wow. So that comes out to about $6,000, a little bit less than $6,000 per American adult. So the next time you complain that a black person got a free Diet Pepsi on SNAP benefits, remember, virtually, a whole lot of money, a whole lot of Pepsis is going to the defense spending. Trump views humans as less than him, the military as his toy, and war as an election strategy. This guy has spent his entire life so far from the reality of everyday human beings. We are ants to him. I doubt he has ever actually cooked a meal or been to a grocery store or filled a gas tank. I don't think he has ever done anything that normal people do. I think he has just been coddled his entire life. He's never actually had a business that was a real business that he ran. The Trump dynasty wasn't even built by him. It was built by a guy he stabbed in the back and sent to prison to cover for the crimes that he told him to commit. I don't think you can get anything if the entire economy collapses because the money doesn't exist. Money isn't real. That's true. Have you seen, in a way, neither is gold, just for the record. I mean, gold is real, but the value of gold is no different than the value of money. It has value because people give it value. Have you seen Russia cannot sell their bonds, so they have to suspend bond auctions? So they have only borrowed $10 billion out of the $1.7 trillion they wanted. Wow. I did not see that. I wish Keanu Reeves would run for president. Very humble, down to earth. And if you mess with his dog, he will destroy you. If everyone wanted to go withdraw all their money from the bank, sorry, it doesn't exist. It would be so bad. That was what happened during the Great Depression. FDR had to convince people to finally. Yeah, that's why Joe Biden had to actually print some more money, because there was looked like there were going to be some runs on some banks, and he just wanted to have enough money in there so that if people went and wanted to get cash, they could. Oh, I've got happy poop jolts too from Mow the Lawn. Thank you. I don't know what a happy poop is, but yeah, a good poop makes me happy. Ever since money became propped up by a private bank instead of gold or silver, Anyway, thank you, Mo. I ever since money became propped up by a private bank instead of gold or silver. Yeah, but gold or silver is the same thing. I mean, gold and silver are actually, yes, they're actual species, but like the gold is not inherently valuable. It's just rare. And so the value of gold is no different than the value of a dollar. It's people are willing to exchange stuff for it because they are, you know. Stephen Miller did say he wanted to eliminate 100 million. They took away so many food stamps too. There's literally going to be crime in the streets because of this. The dude has zero clue of what it's like to be an average American. Donald Trump is out of touch with actual human people, born with 10 million people. You know, his dad gave him $600 million, and he took that little bit of money and he pulled himself up by his bootstraps. I mean, 600 million bootstraps, but bootstraps. The next time you complain about a black person getting Pepsi on SNAP benefits, remember you owe over $6,000 to the government. That needs to be a YouTube short clip. I'll make sure to do that. 1 ounce of gold is worth over $4,000. Yeah, but that's only because it's not worth that much because it's worth that much. It's worth that much because people are willing to pay that much. And so if you know, like if there were like a complete government collapse and there was no more money and nothing, and you know, you had to live off of gold, like you can't eat it. It's not that great of a mineral for developing anything with. Gold is only valuable because we assign it value. It's not valuable because there's something there. Like food has value because you need it to eat. Gold is just a substitute for trade. That's all it is. It has value because we acknowledge it has value. If everybody decided that gold was worthless, it would be worthless. Yeah, but I mean, the scarcity doesn't give it value. I mean, it'd still be worthless if like there's other things that are scarce that don't have value. I could never vote for anybody that never went grocery shopping or pumped a gallon of gas. No, it's not. You can't just pronounce. Yeah, but it still doesn't mean that if somebody doesn't think it has value, it doesn't have value. I don't know what you're struggling with. Like if you know, like there's other minerals I'm sure that are rare that don't have value. We've always given gold value. That's why it has value, not because it is inherently has value. Like if you take my house, I have a 4-bedroom house and a 1/3 acre backyard. I paid about $75,000 for it in 2012. If you were to take this exact same house and move it into Southern California, and it's like 1,800 square feet and 1/3 of an acre. If you were to take this exact same house and move it to Southern California, it would be worth $2 million. The actual structure and everything exactly the same. It would be worth like 20 times as much money. Value is not about just the thing. It's about what people are willing to pay for. That's why in real estate they say location, location, location. Like that's the value, not just the actual house. What I'm saying is gold only has value because it is the monetary equivalent to location. It doesn't matter that it's scarce. I mean, it helps that it's scarce, but other scarce things don't have value. It has value because it has value. It's self-reinforcing. Trump has lost 2.3 to 3.8 billion in direct military asset destruction in the Iran war, and the overall operational and conflict costs reached 37.5 billion. And this is just what they're admitting to. All the ways for nothing. Plus, Americans are losing their lives. Trump is 100 dumpster fires burning at the same time. And don't forget that this is also just to get, we haven't even gotten anywhere. We haven't even accomplished anything through it. He could have just taken $100 billion and set it on fire. And it would have been better because it wouldn't have killed American soldiers. God is a finite metal we cannot reproduce in a lab. But yeah, it was called God poop in the ancient Mexico, so its value is defined by its culture. You can go to Jantar Mantar to protest, support India. Bye. See ya, Harry. Or are you saying bye to me, or are you saying bye to somebody else? Okay, so I'm getting caught up here. True people give things value, but NH points it's different than paper money because paper money can be printed out in sheets just, well, you know, that's kind of exaggerated. Right now, I think, what is it? What percent of, it's not so much, so right now about physical cash makes up roughly about 10% of the total U.S. money supply. The remaining 90% of U.S. dollars exist entirely as digital data and electronic ledgers entries in computer service. So even then, it's not so much like the paper that has money. It's people's belief in the actual dollar system. It's the same thing as with gold. There's really no difference. I know there's this whole thing about gold-backed economy and stuff like that, but most economists, if you look at, you know, like what they say about it, it's really nothing, because it's the same thing that puts value in money, puts value in gold. And either way, it's people give it value, and that's why it has value. Without, you know, like a dollar bill doesn't have any actual value, but neither does a lump of gold. I mean, unless you just want something pretty. But like, you can't, it's not great for like construction or anything like that. It doesn't like, you can't build a house out of it or something. It's just, it is a scarce metal. That's the only reason it has value. But you couldn't use the gold diamonds because if people are starving, they're not going to need a diamond. They're going to need food. I'm saying food is different because food is something people eat. Housing is different because housing is where people live. There are things that people need to live, and there are things that people don't need to live. Dollars is one of them, and gold is one of them. So if like there were an economic breakdown where nothing, you know, where it was just about survival, gold would not have any more value than an American dollar. Or bottle caps, for that matter. You know, maybe bottle caps would be the new currency. There's what is that TV show? It was based on a video game. They use bottle caps as currency. Said someone brought up gold price today at $4,052.30. Debt to who? If we need more paper money, we give a private bank bonds that says we will pay it back, and then they print out money. It worked in the early days of USA. But we don't really, like right now, we don't really need paper money because it's only like 10% of the US economy. Now, if you like we don't need currency. Like this whole idea that currency, like if you print off a bunch of money, then you have more money. You don't. If let's say that you know, there's this bank, right? Let's say there's a bank and they have this much money, and then they get this fresh printed money to, you know, like in case there's a run on the bank or something. It's not like that's additional money. It's just actual cash backing the money that's already in the bank. It doesn't change how much money the bank has. It just changes how much cash the bank has. So there's a difference between money and cash. And changing how much cash we have doesn't change how much money we have. I don't know if I'm clear on the distinction there. But like if you have, let's say you have $10,000 in your bank account, right? And you don't have any cash at all. And you go to the bank and you take out $1,000, and now you have $1,000 in cash. You have a $9,000 in your bank account. You have $1,000 in cash now, but you still have $10,000 in money. Cash doesn't change how much money you have. What do we owe for? Who do we owe 40 trillion to? The national debt. Well, it's like 35 or 30, or what is it now? We owe it to people that bought stocks like bonds and stuff. We sell bonds, and then those bonds get bought back, and then those bonds get bought back at more than we sold them. There's an interest rate tied to them. So we owe the money to the holders of the bonds. And that includes private investors and foreign investors and all kinds of people. Socialism will not work either. I don't know what you mean when you say socialism won't work either. And I don't know what you mean by socialism. Socialism is like a word that gets used and misused, and like when you say socialism, you might mean one thing, and when I hear socialism, I think of another thing. I think mixed capitalism works. I think mixed capitalism works better than like pure socialism or pure capitalism. I think it needs to be a combination of the two, to where the basic necessities of life are guaranteed, but not ultimate success. And ultimate success isn't limited. I always say that I'd rather raise the floor than lower the ceiling. Like that to me is how you succeed as an economy, is raise the floor, don't lower the ceiling. Do things like provide for education. Like as long as you have the intellect and the curiosity and the willingness to work, get as much education as you can. And as long as you thrive and as long as you succeed, money should not prevent you from doing more, because that's going to end up being better for the whole economy. That's going to end up being better for everybody. You can have somebody that can cure cancer, has the brain and the curiosity and the intelligence to secure some form of cancer. Can't cure all cancer, but like could cure prostate cancer, right? They have the potential to do that. But if you don't help them realize their potential, they might just end up working at Burger King their whole life. So that I think that like we have not just an obligation, I think we have a responsibility to invest in our people and to make sure that the floor is high as possible, because when the floor is higher, the ceiling is higher. Fallout is the name of the show with the bottle caps. Thank you. And it is a great show. It's actually really awesome. And what's his name? The guy that plays the whatever he's called. The guy from what's his name? Sorry. The star actor of the show. Actually a couple of both him and her. The Ella Purnell, if you watch, she's also in a show called Sweet Pea. If you haven't seen Sweet Pea, watch Sweet Pea. Totally different side to her. She's a sociopath in that one. And then, of course, Walter Goggins. Walter Goggins is like one of my favorite actors. He is brilliant in everything he does. And if I first became a Walter Goggins fan back when he was in Justified. Justified was an awesome show. Anyway, I digress. All right. But yeah, when an Apple cost as much as a Rolex watch, and we're not talking about the Apple Watch, we're talking about the Apple, the food. It would, if person had food for sales and would only accept gold after proper money fails. But then that gives that's what gives the gold value, right? Is their willingness to give up food for the gold. So it's still somebody is like it's somebody willing to give something for the gold that gives it value. The debt is abysmal and will never be repaid, except by enslaving future generations. I don't know about that. It, like, who's going to, like, it's not like somebody's like going to sit there and make sure we pay it back. It's one of the catch, because you can always just borrow more money. That's why the like the economy is always growing. And so in 1978 the what was hang on. When Ronald Reagan assumed office, it was the debt was $998 billion. And I remember, like, when it went over $1 trillion, when the debt went over $1 trillion, and everybody was panicking. And by the time I think he left office, it was like $4 trillion or something. And now it's 40 trillion. But the dollar is not a constant, and the economy is not a constant. The economy grows and there's inflation. And so basically we've been able to outpace the debt to economy ratio. I think it's a more of a concern right now is that we're starting to fall behind in that. And that's why I don't think we need to be spending $1.5 trillion on defense spending and murdering children in Iran. I think that the blaming it on the poor black kid getting a soda pop, that's just insane. No, I'm much more concerned with the $1.5 trillion that go to murdering people in Iran. The tiny hat folks love this crap. Remember when Andrew Jackson said if we let this country become run by privatized banks, we would be screwed eventually? Well, that's what would happen. Yeah, remember when Andrew Jackson tried to bring us into a gold-backed economy and led us into a massive recession? Like, if Andrew Jackson is your case study for a species-backed economy, then you probably need to look at the results of what happened. That was a disaster. Andrew Jackson was a disaster to the economy. So using him as the litmus test is maybe not the best idea. There will be no more cash. Everything will be electronic, pay virtually. We owe the most to Japan and China. Japan has over $1 trillion in U.S. debt holdings. Wow. But that's still only 2.5% of it. Can you believe that? We're paying $6,000 a piece for the defense spending. $6,000. Why do we need to spend that much money on defense? Do you think? Does anybody feel like we have somehow become better off by all this money we spent in Iran? Are we better off in any way at all for it? I love him in the Tarantino movies, especially in The Hateful Eight. He was awesome. Yes. Goggins is great. Maybe if we stop smoking gas and oil like it's crack, we can start getting our debt under control. There's a crack spread joke in there. That's why gold, Brett would appreciate it. That's why gold would still be useful if paper money failed. That's my point. But you are right. Things are only now, if paper money fails, gold is going to have the same problem at this point. Like paper money has just replaced gold. It's the nice thing about currency is that gold is not just scarce, it's too scarce, right? Like you're limiting your economy by how much gold is available. Like you can't carve it down into like 1/trillionth of an ounce or something. So it's like if it's like $4,000 an ounce, how do you spend $2? The Europeans came here and destroyed culture. They did. They did. I am not physically or medically able. What would I do? Die. To know why autocorrect wants to capitalize crack. Hope your family loves you enough to carry on the tradition. You said Reagan doubled the dent of the entire first and entirety of the country thus far in his 8 years. Worst president ever until Trump. Yeah, I agree. I think that Donald Trump or that Ronald Reagan was a terrible president. I think actually Reagan was terrible. George W. Bush was terrible for different reasons. Donald Trump has been terrible. H.W. Bush was probably the least terrible Republican president because at least he was willing to acknowledge that, you know, we needed federal revenue to like pay the bills. We studied Reagan in school before history was changed, and he was painted as a hero. He was a horrible person, agreed. Like we don't, like we give him too much credit for ending the Cold War. What's his name? Gorbachev. Gorbachev's the one that ended the Cold War. Gorbachev is the one that deserves the credit, not Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan gave a speech. Gorbachev ended the Cold War. You know, Ronald Reagan said, tear down this wall. Gorbachev actually tore it down. We're in this mess and heading toward disaster because people like you aren't able to relate to anyone but themselves. The country was built on community. Oh, Josh, we're in this mess. Andrew Jackson's only good thing he did was chase off privatized banks. If you're saying I think the Federal Reserve is a good thing, yes. We pay 77. I don't want to go into this big whole thing, but the whole Federal Reserve conspiracy theory is just, I think that the Federal Reserve is a good thing, yes. We pay $77 million a week to the Taliban. Google it. When U.S. bonds are purchased, it's dependent on the. I think you probably mean because we pay some money to Saudi Arabia, and then when U.S. bonds are purchased, it's dependent on the fiscal health of the country issuing the bonds. The U.S. is looking at as more of a risk now because of Trump's volatile policies, assuming the Federal Reserve has to raise interest rate to entice sale of the bonds, raising the overall interest rate for Americans. And countries have credit ratings, and America's credit rating is getting worse. And then that, just like if you have terrible credit and then your credit cards go up and then the interest rates on your credit goes up. And so even though you have less money, your bills go up. That's what's about to happen to America. We don't send aid to Afghanistan anymore. Josh, you're very deep into the false conspiracy world. Dented cans of beans will be worth more than a gold if poop hits the fan. The Federal Reserve Act was created. No, that's all that, like that whole Federal Reserve Island created on. Just go and like ask Chad about that. That's my brother-in-law is all into that, and I've looked at it like extensively, and that's just a bunch of nonsense. That is all just a crazy conspiracy theory. I mean, like, just challenge it. I don't want to get into a big, huge thing. You seem like a nice guy, but yeah, that's all a bogus conspiracy. That's like saying that we didn't go to the moon. Reagan destroyed the economy of today. The most responsible. He was also a mass murderer and built the Taliban. The difference in Trump is a coward. So did privatized banks aren't running the country. Billionaires are. My teacher told me Reagan was senile. He referred to military uniforms as costumes, flashing back to his acting days with the chimpanzee. He said he deemed ketchup as a vegetable school. Yeah, I think that maybe Reagan was one of those ones where he read lines well. I'm not sure how much of his policies were his policies and how much of his policies were just delivering lines. My teacher also said that Nancy Reagan was a social climber and spent many times on the casting couch to advance herself. He also, so I'm going to guess your teacher was not a Republican. He also said she slept with Frank Sinatra before Ronald Reagan, behind Ronald Reagan's back. Can you blame her? Think of who benefits the most off privatized banks. The 1% billionaires are, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's billionaires and banks go together. There's no question there. Through them, our wealth is compiled by the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, this is getting down to, yeah. Let's keep this away from like wild conspiracy theory stuff. Anyway, I was going to go for 2.5 hours today. I'm caught up on the comments and we're at 2 hours and 41 minutes. So I'm going to tap out here. Thanks for your gifts. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow and I'll talk to you then. Hopefully we'll still have an economy then. Bye.